to grow in grace and wisdom. That's a motto that was given to us by the foundress of the Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur, St. Julie Billiart. If you've been here at the summit, you know she's an integral part of this community. St. Julie was born in 1751 in France. She was working class, and at a young age, she was actually, in her 20s, she was stricken with a paralysis and was unable to walk for about 20 years. She began to teach people and actually survived the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror. During that time, though, there were a couple of scary times because of her relationship with priests in terms of spiriting them away from the mobs. She herself was threatened by a mob who wanted to burn her. She was taken away, hidden in a hay cart, actually, and saved from that. In 1792, though, St. Julie had a vision, a dream, in which she saw herself with a group of women in an unknown habit at the feet of Christ at the crucifixion. And that's what's depicted in our chapel with this stained glass window. She'd never seen the habit before. She'd never seen these women. Then she met another woman, Françoise de Bois-Bourdon. Now, there was a big difference between these two women, but they became fast friends. Julie was, again, working class. She wasn't very attractive, but extremely bright. And keep in mind, she was still paralyzed at this time. Françoise was an aristocrat. She had survived the Reign of Terror, or was about to. She was wealthy, she was beautiful. And initially, the reports were she was actually, and the quote was, repulsed by the sight of Julie. But again, they became fast friends and were the co-foundresses of the Sisters of Notre Dame. Now, the precepts that were given to St. Ignatius by the Virgin Mary, and that's depicted on another window in our chapel, those were used to set up the Jesuits. Julie adopted that, and that is also the foundation of the Sisters of Notre Dame, hence the close relationship between the sisters and the Jesuits throughout the history of both communities. These sisters, with the few recruits that they had, took their holy orders in 1805. In 1806, they opened their first school. Then there was a disagreement with the Bishop of Amiens, where they were formed, and they moved to Belgium, to de Namur, where we know them today. It was less than 35 years later that those sisters were asked to come to the United States, to Cincinnati, and indeed, the rest is history. It's our history here at the summit. Where else do we see reference to Julie? The wonderful statue that's in one of the side altars here depicts Julie. And this particular pose is something that's very representative of the theories that form the foundation of Notre Dame learning communities. And this was actually on medals that used to be presented to the Summit girls upon their graduation. Note the pose. Julie has her arm around the student in that warm relationship that we still see today at the Summit, but she's also directing the learning process. This also calls to mind the course of study that was written by our foundress, Sister Julia McGroarty, who emphasized mutual respect between faculty and students. And it's the job of the teacher to teach the student to be generous, to act and think for themselves, and to really make it worth the while of every student to be here every day. The other place where we see St. Julie every day is in the homage to sunflowers that's all over the school. We have the sunflower window over our front entrance. St. Julie valued the sunflower and felt it represented her philosophy of always turning towards the sun.